Hi guys, my name's Ian and I'm the head coach at Tri Club, and today we've got a very special guest with Welsh national champion and high jumper Jon Bailey. So welcome, Jon.
Afternoon, Ian. How you doing?
Yeah, very, very well, thank you. And thanks for joining us today. Now, I tend not to really introduce you. I say a little bit about who you are, but I'd like you to talk about yourself and who you are in sport and work, and who is Jon Bailey?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm Jon Bailey. I'm a high jumper for Wales. I'm based in Loughborough, but also alongside that, I'm a full-time transport planner for a engineering consultancy firm based in Birmingham. My journey kind of starts back in Wales. So originally, I was kind of a long jump sprinter. Then as part of kind of the culture of Welsh athletics and school athletics, you do multi-events, so shot put, hurdles, long jump, that kind of thing. And high jump was actually the one I was actually more successful at. So even though I was training for a different event, I kind of fell into doing high jump. And, I trained for it a little bit. Like I said, became Welsh champion, started competing for Wales at a senior level. And yeah, kind of fell into it, as I've said, and kind of did it solely since 2012. From that, my journey kind of then continued when I started university in 2013. Went to Loughborough University, the mighty Loughborough. I was studying a full-time physics degree, so I was there for 5 years, so a long time. Plenty of time to train and stuff, which is good. You got the good facilities. Part of that kind of university time, I became a university champion, became a Bucks champion, and then was able to finish my degree really well. Got the degree class I wanted, and then kind of drifted into the normal, right, it's time to get a job. And then, 2019, I got married, bought a house, started a job, so a busy year, stressful year.
Yeah.
And kind of that brought its own challenges of, right, work means a commute. It means new kind of balancing of work and training, but still, the grind continues, and I want to do what I can to achieve my long-term goals.
That's incredible. Now, thanks for telling us all that, Jon. It's quite a journey that you've been on from where you were right at the start all the way through university, and the amount of training that you must have done over the years is unbelievable. What's your average hours per week that you're training, and how often?
Yeah, so I would say, well, the program I've got, I'm supposed to do something every day. I think currently it's active high jump, like actual technical high jump. It's probably 3 times a week. That's then mixed in with plyometrics, sprinting, maybe two, 3 times a week. So
wow.
About 6 days a week, I'm doing some form of active training with kind of a day and a half of rest. So it's busy. It's about 14 hours. So it's like a part-time job on top of a full-time job.
Yeah, that's tough. Now, how do you balance all that normally? And obviously times have changed, and we're going through a pandemic. So how does it work normally, and how does it work during COVID at the minute? Yeah,
it's a great question, because balancing work and full-time training is tough. Not gonna lie, it's tough. And I really commend anybody who is in that situation and wants to achieve high-level sporting goals, or even just tough physical goals and they're still working a full-time job. It's I really commend those guys that go out and do it. The travel, there's a commute involved. That's like about an hour there and an hour back. And if the train is not playing ball, which trains don't, that can go up, exponentially. So that's like kind of 2 or 3 hours out of my day already, just kind of commuting. And then when I'm at work, I have to find time to work. So, I've got to use my lunchtime appropriately. And then I've got to come back to Loughborough from Birmingham and then finish the rest of my session, because obviously you can't do high jump in the concrete jungle of Birmingham. So it's tough. It was like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. days. It was been a challenge. But at the same time, for other guys in my situation, you figure it out. Like I said, I'm working in the centre of Birmingham. I'm lucky in the fact that the building I work in has kind of a gym downstairs. It's got an open area. It's got showers. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing. I can actually do training inside the building. But I've had to Google Maps surrounding areas. I've got to find flat streets, green spaces. It's a struggle in Birmingham.
Yeah.
What kind of services there are, and actually can I go to that place and back, do my training, have a shower, all in an hour, and go back to work. So, you've had to learn, prioritize, sacrifice, when people want to go out for work lunches or whatever, sometimes you just got to say no, because you've got to put training first. But on the flip side, which I think we'll probably go on to later on, sometimes it's actually, right now, I don't need to train. I want to go and spend some time with colleagues, and actually that's probably more beneficial sometimes than actually going training. There's those things you've got to balance. So that's like normally.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of in this current situation, which is kind of totally reversed and flipped everything that we kind of know. I have no commute. I'm working from home. I'm currently sat in my office, which I work alongside my wife. So there's two of us in the office. So that's a new challenge. But I have a good setup, and from, going from work to working from home, there was periods of anxiety, or things have changed, things have flipped for everybody.
Yeah.
But I can still kind of access the uni pitches. I can train during my lunchtime and at work. And like I said, now I'm in Loughborough. I'm based in Loughborough. Things are on my doorstep again, which is really good. I've actually seen more of my coach through a phone and a tripod than I ever have done, because during work hours it's really hard. So I've actually, this kind of situation has really been quite good for me. I've been able to capitalize on it. Might not be able to do 100% of my training, like jumping or kind of gym work, but actually, I can make good ground in terms of conditioning. Other things, you've got to adapt, and that's the main thing that I found during this time.
Yeah, no, I think that's so true. Adaptability is one of the things that is being tested at the moment. And you mentioned, there was a certain anxiety around starting a new routine. Now, a question I want to move on to is, what's your sort of experience around things like anxiety, mental health, particularly within elite sport?
It's more prevalent, and it is a bigger part of elite sport than what was talked about previously. I think we've been quite good in raising the issue recently, in the past couple of years, and talking about it and being more open about it. I mean, everybody, you talk about having a strong mental game as part of sport, and sometimes you've got to treat it as it's part of your training, but actually sometimes you have to take that to heart and make it a bit more personal, and have quite some deep reflective periods to kind of assess where you're at. And so high jump is a very strange individual event when you think about it. Like you don't directly compete against your competitors. It's you versus the bar. And you always finish on failure. No matter how high you jump, the bar can always go higher, and you're gonna lose. And you have to kind of get your head around that of, there's nothing I can do to my competitor apart from be the best high jumper I can. If I jump my best, they might jump their best. If he clears the bar, I've got to clear the next bar, otherwise I'm out of the competition. But there's nothing I can do I could jump up and down and scream, but that's not very nice. And so I found like pressure and self-pressure within high jump. It's a blessing and it's a curse. So for those guys that don't know about high jump, you have 3 attempts to clear a bar, an ever increasing height of a bar. And what you find is, let's say you're on your 3rd attempt. If you don't clear this bar now, you're out of the competition. And actually at that point, you might get the crowd going. You see them on the TV doing the claps. That's a distraction, but also it gives you the opportunity to kind of build your self-confidence. You've got nothing to lose now. If I don't jump well, I'm out of competition. And actually, I find that those are my best jumps. I wanted that to be my first jump, but it's good that on the 3rd attempt, when the pressure's on, you've got to do it. It's kind of a do or die situation. You've got to go for it, and that's something that you really have to cultivate within yourself. But at the same time, if you go too far in the other direction, you've got to remember that when you're in competing, you're there to execute. You've done the training, and you have to remember that you've done the training. And this is for any scenario. If you're in a position where you need to perform a skill, you practiced it, and actually now the time is to compete. You have to relax. You have to have fun with it, because actually, if you keep on thinking and overthinking of, right, if I move 2 millimeters to the left, it won't be perfect. And if you hold on to that kind of element of it must be perfect, you actually forget that you need to just do. It's think less and do more. And that's a key thing. So in terms of high jump, that's, pressure and self-pressure is a big thing. And as I've alluded to in the previous question, training during work it kind of brings its own mental health challenges. So work takes up a lot of energy, a lot of stress. Like, where am I going to train? How am I going to train? It's raining. It's I turned up to this place and there's roadworks going on. I can't use this road anymore. I need to go find a different, or like, I have no time. Can I actually even do this? It's really hard to fit it all in. And like, similar with COVID that we're currently in, my structures have been taken away from me. The track is no longer accessible. Gyms are no longer a place to take out your aggression and work on your power. It's changed everything. And then I know now there's no competitions either, potentially. Fingers crossed, there might be something, but that's a different story. What are your motivations? You do all this training to compete, to get a PB. You want to go up the rankings, but now that's changed. So kind of, what's your drive? And actually, I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but I listened to a podcast with Mark Allen, and they asked him this question of, how do you kind of, get through the race and if things aren't going well? And he kind of alluded to this kind of thought process of, if a negative thought comes through, the quicker you can process and deal with that, and you can minimize the amount of time that you're, trudging along in a race and you've got negative thoughts, it's going to impact your performance. So the quicker you can kind of process, find a solution and get on the other side of that, the better it's going to be for you in your situation. So like, originally with what I described with work, I had to Google Maps everything. I had to find streets. I had to find flat areas. During COVID, I've had to kind of take those skills and do it all over again. Like, find a park in Loughborough. Are there some steps somewhere that I can do some bounding on? And actually, you've got to remember that I've done this before. Actually, I've had to adapt to my training and work, and now I have to do it again. In terms of COVID, it might be quite Rocky style training. Of it's not. It's unorthodox. It's not in the clean facilities of an athletics track, but actually you can still do 90% of your training in a different way. And that's what you have to think of. Where can I do it? I have to accept my situation of where I am at. And actually, it's not about what I can't do. It's right, this is where I'm at. I can now work on my weaknesses, and in the same kind of train of thought, I guess. You got me going now. Like, if you're injured, like I've been injured in the past, and sometimes you always say, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. It lets you work on your weaknesses. I can't run, my legs hurt, but I can do a load of video analysis. It's not about what you can't do, it's about what you can.
Yeah. No, that's so true. You do need to work on those weaknesses during those down times. Having broken my leg previously, it allowed me to become, and recover from that, a much stronger person. And as a result, that went into my training and led to some of my, I would say, best results. But with a load of metal in your leg, it's, hard to get those best results. Now, in terms of, like you mentioned, your weaknesses, again, what are you working on at the moment? Would you mind me asking?
Yeah. So, as strange as it seems, I feel during this scenario, the situation, that we're in, my high jump, I feel in myself is the best that it's ever been. Right. So without the distraction of having a high jump bar in front of you, I'm actually able to work on a run up and make it consistent and just repeat. Without the distraction of, I'm going for a run up, I need to clear the bar. Is actually, if I perfect the best run up I can and take off, I'm going to clear whatever's there. It doesn't matter what height the bar is at. So actually, that's without having the distraction of the high jump bar there. Actually, I've been able to focus more on the elements of high jump in a much greater way. And then the challenge will be from that. Right now, we're back on a high jump fan where the bar is there. I've got to really think, right, am I going to revert back to what I used to do? Or am I going to take all this good stuff that I've done during this period of focusing on this element and then taking that onto the track without the distraction, not being drawn into by the bar. So yes, that's kind of what I'm working on. I can't do necessarily like gym and stuff like that, so it's doing lots of bounds. So we're adapting training to be more plyometric and more flowing and getting into that kind of flow state.
You say that you train, it's kind of a solo sport really, isn't it, high jump? But from knowing you a little bit, I know that you have a group of people, and obviously you've got your wife to support you. How important are those people around you?
Yeah, huge, absolutely huge. Like I've had really tough moments in my sport and just generally in life, and I found it's just good to share with the people around you. So confiding in coaches, if it's to do with sport, parents. So my dad used to be my coach, so I have the blessing of he gets my high jump, but also he's my dad at the same time, so we can have that special relationship of we get both sides. We've had conversations like me and you, like it's good to talk to like-minded people. Don't have to necessarily be high jumpers or triathletes, but we get each other's sport. It's a tough. Yeah. It can be tough at times. Everyone has performance issues or doubts, and actually it's just good to chat about that and get encouragement from other people. And as I said, like you've mentioned it already, but I'm very lucky to have a supportive wife. So Hayley's been fantastic in terms of we try and work together. We kind of like trying to align our schedules so we can maximize my training, which is a bit more full-time, maximize her training, but also we can just do life together. We're not like two passing ships or anything in the night or anything like that. We can actually do our training, achieve what we want to in terms of that element of our lives, but actually we can have normality. Like not everything is about training. I want to see my wife at the end of the day, which I have in this kind of scenario that we're in with COVID. I've actually been able to spend more time together than I used to when I was working full time in Birmingham. So yeah, it's good to have those structures and support structures around you. It's key to share.
Most definitely. Now, as we come into land, I just wondered if you could share your top tips to stay physically and mentally well during this time of COVID.
Yeah. I mean, you would have seen, and I've seen hundreds of Facebook, Instagram Live channels of, do my ballet class level 1, do my HIIT session, and you look at it and you're like, I can't do that. Like you've got professionals doing it, you've got amateurs doing it. I think it's fantastic that that's happening and people are engaging with it. And I think just find something you like and stick with it. Like find your level or find somebody, the personality that you like, that motivates you, and just stick with it. And start small. I'm saying if you've never done any real sport before, or you want to take on that kind of, actually I want to improve my health, I've got nothing else to do, I never really thought about it before, I'll just start small. James Clear's got a great book called Atomic Habits, and the premise is you can condense an activity into 2 minutes. So instead of, for an example, like if you get changed into your gym gear, do some stretching in your front room for 2 minutes and call it a day. But then if you do that every day, you build the habit of, I'm the person who puts on kit, stretches, does some workouts, and then you just build it and build it and build it. And actually that's a really good idea. And actually I've used that in my training of, right, if I can do this for 2 minutes every day, ingrains the habit of, right, that's how I approach my training, or that's how I sacrifice this part of training because I can't do it and it doesn't fit. So yeah, I'd say start small, find someone or something you like and just stick with it. In terms of being physically active during this time. In terms of staying kind of mentally healthy during this time, surround yourself with good people, virtually or in real life. Have chats, call friends, family, find a community, kind of be a part of. I mean, both me and you are a part of the same community, and we find that really helpful. We're able to chat life and things through, and actually it's good to be part of that. And that can be really beneficial. And what I found for myself, actually, by working at home, it's good to keep. So I'm in, I say, an office. It's our third box bedroom, but we've turned it into an office. But this is where all our work happens, and we try and keep it in this space. We try not to take our work anywhere else. We're having house renovation, so we've got a bedroom, an office, and a conservatory. So bedroom is for sleeping, for kind of our time. The office is for working, and the conservatory actually is the space where we've kind of tried to turn it into an area that is kind of a bit more cozy. And actually that's the deliberate space to kind of relax. And actually you can do that in any home. You can just create a corner that actually in this corner is where I read, is where I chill out. It's not where I do work, or, is my, well, you create a safe space for yourself. And actually that's good. So yeah, top tips: people, environment, and just chat. If you're struggling, just let someone else know.
Yeah. And what I'll do is, like I did with the talk with Mike Riley, I'll post some links below. One is to mine.org.uk, and the other one is to the Samaritans, who you can also contact via phone. The number is 116-123, and you can chat to anyone there. If you are struggling mentally, please do contact these guys. They are there to support you. Do make sure you talk to them. Now, Jon, you talked about obviously some great top tips there. What are you reading at the moment, though? Because you mentioned that obviously you've developed this conservatory, you're getting the house ready, and you've developed this cozy place. So what's keeping you entertained at the moment?
Yeah. So in this kind of space, I try not to watch. When I was commuting, I used to watch loads of TV on the commute, because that was my time to myself. That was part of my routine. So currently reading, I'm quite big into my politics, American politics. So I'm reading and listening to a few American politics podcasts, which I find really interesting. I think it's good to have kind of thoughts and activities outside of my actual sport. Obviously, I said I'm a physicist. I don't do physics very, very often now in terms of transport planning, but as a bit of a nerd, I like to keep up to date with things. So it's a good podcast.
Do you watch The Big Bang Theory then?
I've watched it before, yeah, back in the day. And then there's a great podcast by Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is kind of physics and culture. And actually, they do some really good sports, how physics and sports interact. And that's where I heard the podcast with Mark Allen. So, yeah, definitely check out that.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Jon. Now, finally, just to wrap up, where can people follow you on social media and follow your journey and to your long-term goals?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Jon Bailey HJ. I'm not the most prolific social media user. I try and keep myself a good balance of using it, interacting with it, but not being kind of overwhelmed by it. But I am on it. I kind of will post pictures of my journey, of my life, and you can see where I'm at. But also at the same time, I'm more than happy to chat to anybody on social media. So if people watching want to drop me a message about this, or they have struggles, or they have questions of how to do things, more than happy to chat at any time.
Brilliant. And I said we're coming into land. We're pulling up to the gate now. We're almost ready to let the people off the plane. If people want to get into high jump, how would they go about doing that? Because for me, I've never really thought about high jump. I'm a triathlete, and if I was younger, it might have been something I considered because it looked fun. But only in school, it didn't really take place. It was mainly sort of track and field without that, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And investigate kind of your local athletics club. So most major towns and cities will have a running club or a athletics club. So the club I compete for is Cardiff AAC. And basically, I'm sure if you went on BBC Sport, you can find the sport, kind of your local club in that area where you're at, and they'll have club nights, most definitely, where you can be part. Again, you can be part of a community. You can do running. You can train alongside other aspiring athletes of multiple ages, and also kind of talent, and you're able to just kind of find a new place to try something new. Yeah, I mean, I did. I like I said, I did multi events where you tried all kinds of events, and I just so happened to fall upon high jump as my kind of the one I was most suited to. But actually, yeah, investigate, meet new people. It's definitely a good way to find a new sport or a new interest.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for joining me today, Jon. Very much appreciated.
No, thank you.
And thanks to you guys for joining us. Do stay tuned. We've got more from the sport and mental health series coming. Thanks once again. Cheers. All the best.